Welcome back. While the country awaits the outcome of the 2020 election, let's talk about the death of mainstream media's credibility. We've got what we witnessed last night, a huge disconnect between the media's prediction of a blue wave versus reality. And as pollster Frank Lunt said last night, the political polling profession is done. It is devastating for my industry. We are finished. So what are they missing about America? And how is this distrust in the system further dividing our country? Here to weigh in with reaction, our friend Ben Ferguson, host of The Ben Ferguson Show. My man, how are you?
You and I have never been this tired in our entire lives, am I right?
We're both making a good show of it, staying up here for, God, I think I got 4 hours, maybe 3 hours of sleep last night. But the country hangs in the balance, Ben, so let's dive into this. First off, media / pollsters, terrible night for them that they're probably never recovering from, right?
No, they're done. I mean, I was talking with Lentz last night on Good Morning Britain with Piers Morgan. He basically was saying we suck at our jobs and everybody should be fired. Even Tucker was saying this last night. I mean, if there was anything that we saw last night across the board, it was how worthless pollsters actually are. I do believe, though, part of this is because conservatives like myself are not going to be honest with these pollsters because we think they're part of the mainstream media. They're hacks. They always want the left to win. They always give the benefit of the doubt in polling to the left. And I think you'll never get an accurate count from a pollster ever again as long as you're polling Republicans and conservatives, because I want you to look bad. I want to screw with you. I don't trust you. I don't believe you. I think you're part of the media. And this profession is dead as we know it. And I'm glad. I mean, some of the screw ups here, Buck, it's not even just nationwide. They were talking about losing 10 to 15 seats, some of these credible pollsters in the House. It looks like, from what Kevin McCarthy was saying earlier, we're talking about a 6 or 7, maybe even 8 seat gain or more. That's almost an 18 to 22 seat difference when it comes just to those races. They screwed this up with the Senate. They thought the Senate was probably going to either be maybe 1 ahead for Republicans. Some had it as even 2 or 3 for the Democrats. Screwed that one up pretty well. And important races that we've seen across the country. So, look, it is obvious your vote still matters in America. We're seeing historic turnout. If there's any silver lining in this, the pollsters could not control people, and I like that.
There's a lot of back and forth today, and I'm not sure it's going to stop anytime soon, about who has already won, Ben. Here's what the president said that got the libs, very upset. Play it.
This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election. This is a major fraud in our nation. We want the law to be used in a proper manner. So we'll be going to the U.S. Supreme Court. We want all voting to stop. It's a very sad moment. To me, this is a very sad moment. And we will win this. And as far as I'm concerned, we already have won it.
So the president here saying, well, you just heard it, that he wants to take this into the courts now. How do you think that plays out? What are some of the key elements as you see them?
Look, I think there was a lot in the media, first off, that just completely misconstrued what the president was saying. His point was, he says, we want the vote to count and we want it to stop. His point was, we don't want a bunch of votes to be harvested after the deadline. We don't want there to be signatures that don't match up. We don't want new ballots to be coming in after Election Day that should not be counted, and we will fight that. That is fighting for the integrity of all voters, whether you're Republican voting, an independent, a Democrat, first-time voter, or a hack voter. This is what the president was implying here is, we need to make sure we have uniformity and the laws are being followed. Now, of course, the media says, well, the president's trying to steal an election here. He's saying he's won when he didn't. How dare him say this? He's dividing the nation. What a horrible president he is. Look, you and I both saw this last night. You had in some states where 150,000, 130,000 votes are being added, and all of them were added for Joe Biden. Not a single vote was added for Donald Trump. And then Twitter censors the president for pointing that out and others that pointed this out. And then all of a sudden the state AG comes out and they're like, oh, well, hold on. We had a glitch, but we're going to fix it now. Look at the disaster that is in Arizona right now, for goodness sakes. There were people in line who got alerts on their phone from news networks saying that it's over. it's over. And now we find out, oh, we found a couple million votes we got to count today, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. You look at Wisconsin, you look at Pennsylvania. And so what I think the president and what the legal team's going to do, I talked to them earlier today, is they are going to make sure that the laws are applied appropriately, that the votes are protected of all voters who did it the right way, and that there are not shenanigans being done to try to pull an election in a state like this against Donald Trump. I don't trust the governor, for example, in Michigan. I think it's pretty clear in Pennsylvania.
Ben, I want to jump in there. I want to jump in there because we have something to show everybody. Did you see this map where all of a sudden there was 100% of roughly what I think 100,000 new votes, over 100,000 new votes overnight that all went for Joe Biden? A statistical impossibility. When the official, and this was an official map, when this is happening and everyone knows that that's just not plausible and people ask questions, the first response shouldn't be, oh, stop spreading conspiracies and having Twitter shut this stuff down. Clearly, there was an issue here.
There was an issue, and people that were on Twitter that saw this, all they said was, well, this is clearly a reason to go to court right away, right? Because this is an impossible thing that cannot happen. If it happened for Trump, it would be impossible. If it happened for Biden or any other candidate, it's impossible that 100% of these votes get uploaded and bam, they all go to one candidate. Now, of course, the state this afternoon said, well, it was a glitch. It's going to be fixed. No one worry about this. Yet you had Twitter banning people and shutting down these tweets and saying we're shutting down your account for pointing out the obvious, that what happened is impossible. And I think that's the reason why people do not trust the system. I think the scariest thing that we've learned, Buck, from last night is Democrats have figured out that mail-in voting is their secret weapon going forward. And if you don't think they're going to try to figure out how to implement this in liberal states in 2 years from now in the midterms and 4 years from now in the next presidential election, you're not paying attention, because this was a test market. COVID gave them this gift and they realized, wow, if we don't have to have people show up to vote and we don't have to make them be responsible to actually request a ballot to vote, and we just send them all a ballot to anyone that we think may still be alive, that may still live in an address, and we don't have to check signatures, damn it, we can win a bunch of elections. Let's go.
President Trump tweeted out earlier today, they're working hard to make up 500,000 vote advantage in Pennsylvania disappear ASAP. Likewise, Michigan and others. You know, Ben, I was seeing video of an absentee polling center up in Michigan where they were putting up boards on the windows so people couldn't see what's going on because it's getting all heated outside. It's getting crazy. Should we have faith that this system is actually going to work out as planned? I feel very hard for me to think that the Philadelphia municipal vote counting machinery is beyond reproach, but maybe I'm cynical.
You know, I born and raised, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, and I had a Democratic mayor tell me once after he won a very tight election where riots were threatened if the Republican candidate who was the incumbent even questioned the vote or asked for a recount. He said to me 10 years after that election, he said, Ferguson, let me tell you something. He said, for every hour that happens after midnight and you don't have an answer, somebody that ran for office is getting screwed. And it might be one of the best political things I've learned in my lifetime. I think every hour this continues on after midnight last night, somebody's trying to figure out a way to screw somebody else, screw somebody out of their vote. And I don't think the American people should have a lot of faith in these political governors. I mean, you had people saying before the election yesterday, there is no way that we will have a vote count tonight that will say that Donald Trump wins. I mean, I'm sorry, what? I'm supposed to have faith in you to be counting my votes when you're literally telling the voters in your state that there's no way Trump will win tonight? That is what makes people not trust the system. And for goodness sakes, Buck, it's 2020. How hard is it to count a damn vote with all the technology that we have? And this should never happen. I will give credit to Florida. They had their act together. They learned their lessons from the recount and the hanging chads. And they had all these votes counted early on in the night. They were early votes, and they gave us real numbers, and that's how it should go. But this is the United States of America in 2020, and we're still dealing with this crap. And I think part of the reason why we are is people realize if there are issues, then there are possible advantages that I can take to my team with these issues. And I think that's what you're seeing in some of these states right now.
All right, Ben, we'll see how it shakes out. Thanks so much for joining us. The Ben Ferguson Show, everybody. Check it out. Ben, thank you.
Thanks, Buck.
Coming up after the break, President Trump made some headway with key demographics this election. We're going to drill down into some of those numbers.